Greetings, this is Ron Smalek, and I'm reading Catching Fire. This is the second book in the Hunger Games trilogy by Suzanne Collins. I'm reading the book and giving you my thoughts on each chapter in groups of two. Hope you enjoy. Alright, so I'm going to be recording Chapter 9 and Chapter 10 separately. Chapter 9, I'm going to start off with Katniss basically deciding that they need to take swift retaliation against the Capitol, and whatever they need to do in order for it to work is going to have to come quick. And my initial reaction was like, why? Like, don't do anything rash. Take some time to plan it out. Do something meaningful. Um, as it will turn out, that's not something I really need to worry about because they don't do much for a while. Um, this is where Katniss realizes that, she's been afraid Prim is going to get hurt in this whole uprising or leaving process, but she realizes Prim, her sister, has already been hurt more than anything Katniss can do to her through the events with her father, the Capitol basically forcing him to work, seeing her sister go through the games, etc. What happened to her mom while her father was out. So this actually strengthens Kay's resolve to fight back. But she quickly realizes, and again, this is another thing I like about Katniss's character, is that she's not a leader. She survived the game. She's a survivor, but she's not a speaker. And so she's trying to think through who would be the right leader. Would it be Peeta, Haymitch, Gale, someone else? I'm going to just say at this point in the book, I like the way that they're handling this whole love relationship triangle thing. It's not as in your face as I feared it was. It does not feel like, the soap opera that I feared that it was going to be. I like that it's subtle. I like that it's realistic, and just wanted to make sure I mentioned that as well. A blizzard comes, and that basically puts a halt to anything that Katniss and her crew are doing while Gale is healing up. They basically stay in the house and keep their heads down. When they do go back out into the city or the district, they find out that the main square has completely been transformed. There are whipping posts. I think it said the wall is higher and there's more barbed wire. There's machine gun emplacements. Up to this point, I don't remember hearing too much about guns or what the main weapons were other than the whip. But there are machine gun emplacements in the district, and the Hob has been burned down. So basically, life as they know it is now, the illusion of their whatever little freedoms they had have been shattered because there are new peacekeepers in town, and they are definitely in control. Haymitch sees this, and I want to point this point out here, and he basically says he's got to go find some rubbing alcohol before it's all gone. Now, you're probably meant to think this is medicinal purposes, given what Gale's been going through, but I wonder if he's planning to make some sort of a bomb out of it. Again, just reading between the lines, don't know if that's correct or not. And then we hear that they've basically now been under the thumb of the Capitol for a couple weeks, and a lot of bad stuff happens as far as, just being oppressed. And Katniss begins to wonder what the end game of the Capitol is. Like, are they going to give her a wedding just to kill her off and make this big dramatic statement? Or are they going to go through with the wedding even though they're being oppressed and force them to move in the Capitol? Like, what is the Capitol getting out of this? She just doesn't understand. She goes off into the woods. Now, she remarks on the fact, she remarks on the fact that the fence was not repaired, even though the rest of the village has been fortified. And I found this really odd as well. I wonder if the reason that the fence was not repaired was on purpose, that the Capitol is basically, tempting her to go out there so they can keep tabs on her and find out what is being planned. Alright, and then in the final moments of Chapter 9, she hears a sound and she turns around. This is after she's come back from the woods, and there's a peacekeeper standing there. And she knows that she's been caught. But then the peacekeeper shows her a piece of bread with the Mockingjay symbol on it. And now we know that something is really going on. I'm actually really enjoyed Chapter 9 and am looking forward to the next part. Alright, so we now begin part 2 of Catching Fire, which is entitled The Quell. And I'll tell you, I don't like the implications of that title because to quell an uprising is to put down the uprising. So I hope that that's not actually the case here, but we shall see. Chapter 10 begins with Katniss being confronted by someone in a peacekeeper uniform. She finds out that it's actually runaways from District 8, which immediately amazed me because how the heck did they get all the way to District 12? Um, I guess it's been a couple weeks, but how do they manage to survive? And they are headed to District 13, which is even more of a shock to me because that's, um, this whole fabled thing that they set up in Book 1. One note here, I had heard, and I had not experienced this myself, but I had heard that there was some concern over the first movie around racism and showing some of the kids from the districts being of different ethnicities. I think I talked about this on a non-podcast, which is called Earhart. It's Elaine in Response. It's Elaine and Ron have a response to, and we talk about different books, different movies, different things that happen on Sean and Carter Have a Podcast, etc. And I think Elaine had mentioned that one of the controversies about the Hunger Games was racism. I'm not seeing it all in the book, so I just wanted to make sure I pointed that out because I've been watching for it. Alright, so the District 8 refugees, there are two women, Bonnie and Twill, and they explain the uprising that happened in District 8, how their factories were destroyed and their families were killed, etc. Um, sounds like that's where other districts are heading as well. And they bring up the fact that District 13, footage of District 13 that the Capitol has been showing for years and years and years, seems to be canned footage. In fact, you can see the same Mockingjay fly by in the corner of the footage every time they show it. So they believe that there's something there that the Capitol doesn't want us to see. They mention this term, the Dark Days, which was following the destruction of District 13, or what we're told is the destruction of 13. And they reveal that they believe District 13 was specializing in nuclear development, so nuclear weapons, obviously. Whereas Katniss has always been told that District 13 was full of graphite miners, which isn't completely untrue. There's small graphite mines there, but their main production was nuclear development, according to these two refugees. So one question I have is, so does that mean there were 13 districts before the war that each specialized in something, and they were already under the control of the Capitol, but they had nuclear weapons being developed, and then they revolted? I think that's actually what they're saying. For whatever reason, I had thought that before the Capitol took over and before the big war, there weren't necessarily districts. There were, states and things like that. It was more like the United States that we know today. In any case, Katniss is really bothered by this because she's thinking, how can District 13 exist? Why haven't they fought back against the Capitol to free and help us? Or if the Capitol, if there really was a District 13 regrowing, why wouldn't the Capitol have wiped them out and found out about them? Why are they hiding this? So this doesn't jive with her yet, and she kind of denies that, but she doesn't want to give them, she doesn't want to dampen their spirits too much, so she agrees that she's going to teach them how to hunt and some basic survival skills, even though she believes they're going to false hope. There's a kind of a throwaway line here that Twill, one of the girls from District 8, has a solar-powered weapon that can convert into a deadly energy. And I think they're talking about a solar-powered laser gun, which surprised me. That kind of came out of nowhere. I think I mentioned in Chapter 9 that I haven't seen any mention of machine guns, let alone laser guns. So why would the Capitol be wasting time with machine guns? Then as Katniss leaves them, she's got to head back to District 12 before night, and she gets to the fence around District 12 and finds out that the electricity is on. she was wrapped up in her own thoughts, and she didn't notice this until she heard the screech of an owl. And I'm wondering if that is somebody who knew she went into the woods and is giving her a warning as she's coming back, or if it was just a random luck of an owl. So the fence is on, and I'm assuming that chapter 11 will start with her trying to figure out how to get back into the district. We'll see you then.